to my channel. I am currently in bed right now because I want to be in bed and I want to do this video in bed. So you're gonna watch me be in my bed with my son. I have my son with me because I always have my son with me. Anyways, let's jump right to the story. As you saw, the title was my labor and delivery story. I'm gonna go ahead and get started, so just keep on watching. It all started December 26th on a probably like 8:30 at night. So I started to go into labor at movie theaters. Me and my husband, we went on a date and we went to go see the Aquaman movie, and I started to have my contractions really strong. I ended up having it through in the morning, but then later on at night while I was in the movies, they started to hit stronger. And my husband and I actually joked about it, which I'm gonna pull up the picture of our screenshot of our conversation what we had earlier on that day before we went to the movies. So we ended up staying the whole movie. I sucked it through it. I pulled right through it, guys. Like, having my contractions throughout the whole movie. I made it through. But after the movie, we went straight to the hospital. Had no bags, no nothing. And I was just like, you know what? This might be a false alarm. I might not just be having a baby. Yes. I might not be having a baby. So what ended up happening was they pulled me back to the examining room to make sure that I was going into labor, which I ended up was. Just because, let me just tell you this, I had high blood pressure. And that's why I ended up going into labor, because they couldn't bring it down. So they pulled me into a delivery room, and my doctor was just like, look, you're having this baby today because your blood pressure ain't going down. But we're going to give you some medicine. We're going to give you magnesium. We're going to give you a bag to hydrate because you're dehydrated, and we're gonna also put a catheter in you, and we're gonna also put these Velcro bags on your legs. So the doctor was saying, he was explaining to me what they were gonna do to bring my blood pressure down. So basically, I was gonna be bed bound, guys. I wasn't gonna be able to get up. I wasn't gonna be able to move around, and which was a sad thing because I wanted to do all of that. I wanted to be able to move around. I wanted to be able to cope with my contractions by the techniques that I learned from reading books and from watching videos, which I could not do. So I had to be in bed with these big old bags wrapped around my legs that fill up with air and deflate, and I had a catheter in me, which was so uncomfortable. And just on top of that off, I had a rude nurse. So I had a nurse who was there throughout my whole delivery, my baby coming out. Her name was Tamika. I would forever remember her name. It is bound in the back of my brain just because she did not treat me bad, guys. Let's just leave it at that. She did not treat me bad, but I feel like she pushed me far. Like, she pushed me to the limit to where I felt like I wasn't in control of my labor. So let me go ahead and get started. Right when she walked into my delivery room, she introduced herself. And after she introduced herself, I had a contraction. I had a strong contraction. And she saw that I was moaning in pain. And right away she goes, "Are you going to get the epidural? Because I don't like my patients in pain." And I looked at her, and I specifically told her no, that I did not want the epidural because I wanted to do this as naturally as possible. I had planned this throughout my whole pregnancy, that I did not want to get epidural because I was scared to get an epidural. Because, you know, me being me, I am scared of shots. I am scared I would move and I was going to be scared that I was going to get paralyzed. So I told her I am not trying to go that way to her to get epidural. Well, she kept asking me, guys. She kept asking me throughout the whole time. She was like, "Are you going to get epidural? Are you going to get it? I need to know if you're going to get epidural. I need to know if you're in pain. I need to know if you're going to get epidural." She did not go and be like, well, sit this way or move this way or, you know, do this. No. And I was getting so frustrated. I told my husband to call my mom. They ended up having a conversation where my mom said that she was gonna send my sister down to the hospital because my sister lives in the same area as I do. My mom, on the other hand, lives out of state. So she could not get here on time. She ended up not coming. So my sister ended up pulling up at the hospital ready to defend me because you know your girl was dying and had high blood pressure and her nurse was bullying her. So here goes my sister. She comes in and she's like freaking out and she's like, what's going on? She notices that I am in pain. She noticed that right away my blood pressure was high because she experienced the same thing throughout her first pregnancy, and she was like automatically like, your blood pressure is too high, Caitlin, and we need to do something about it. And after she said that, I informed her that my heart all of a sudden was hurting, that it felt like it wasn't pumping enough blood. It felt like somebody was just tightening, like holding it really tight. And I told her to get the nurse, so they got the nurse. And then she comes in, Tamika comes in, and she goes, I can't give you anything. And she was just like, just tell me what's wrong with you. And I told her, I was like, my heart hurts. And she was just like, but what's wrong with it? I explained to her again. She goes, well, I can't give you anything. I have to call your doctor. I have to ask your doctor. She leaves. Ended up happening, they gave me painkillers. And those painkillers work like a motherfucker. They had me hallucinating, one. They had me feeling good. And I kept blacking out. So I remember some stuff, but on the other hand, I don't remember anything. So after they gave me the pain medicine through the IV, I was feeling good. I could feel my contractions, but they weren't hitting too hard like they were before. That was a good thing. And then my sister talks me into getting an epidural. She goes and she tells me, you should get the epidural. Then my nurse comes in, asks me again, and she's like, look, your blood pressure ain't coming down still. I believe if you get the epidural, your blood pressure will come down. She's like, we don't want you to go into emergency C-section. She's like, we're avoiding that. And I was just like, okay, me being on drugs, I was like, okay, I'll get the epidural. I made it to 5 centimeters without epidural. That's a big plus for me. Anyways, after the nurse came and informed me about the whole situation, she goes, okay, well, if you're gonna get the epidural, I'm gonna send the anesthesiologist down, which is the doctor who puts the epidural in you. So they come down and they walk in, and then he asks me some questions, and he's just like informing me what they're going to do beforehand. And then he goes, do you have any questions for me or concerns? And I'm laying down and I'm looking at him and I'm like, this, guys, like I am dead ass flirting with him while my husband is on the couch over there. My sister's at the end of my bed and I'm flirting with this man, and I'm just like, no. And he's like, are you sure? Because we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I was just like, just don't let me die. I don't want to die, so please don't let me die. And he goes, sweetie, you're not gonna die. Everything is okay. So then they go ahead, they get me on, they have me sit up on the bed, and then they go, sit at the edge of the bed, your nurse is going to hold you, you're gonna hug a pillow. And I was like, okay. I sit at the edge of the bed, they're getting everything ready, they're sanitizing everything, they sponge my back up, you know, the little sanitize thing they do, where the area where they're gonna put the epidural in. Mind you, I'm still on painkillers, I'm still high, I'm still feeling good. So then I'm wiggling my feet because me being me, I'm happy, I'm good. And then they notice and they're like, ma'am. They're like, ma'am, stop moving. I'm like, oh. I didn't realize I was moving. So then they're like, no, it's okay. Go ahead and stay still. After they said that, I look up at my nurse. We're like this close together. I go, I'm sorry if my breath smells. And I blow in her face. And she goes, your breath don't stink, honey. Go ahead and put your head back down. That was the most embarrassing thing I ever did. And I only remember this because my husband told me that's what I did. Then they go ahead and start putting the epidural in. After they put the epidural in, I started to have a contraction. I started to feel it by the contraction and by that needle going in my spine. It was so painfully strong. It hurt. And I kind of like informed them that I was having a contraction and I was moaning. And I kind of like started to like get up. And they're like, don't move, don't move. And I freaked out and I stopped what I was doing. And they're like, we're almost done. Let us like finish up. So then I'm just moaning in pain. And they go ahead and get the epidural in. And they go ahead and like lay me back down. And the nurse goes and checks me. And she's making sure everything's good. She puts a ball between my legs so I can dilate faster. I dilated so quick. Well, it felt quick to me because, again, I blacked out and then I woke up. So then she goes, you're 10 centimeters. We're going to go ahead and call your doctor because it's already time to start pushing. So I start to freak out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to push out. That was my reaction in my head. My sister is holding one leg. My husband is holding the other leg. My doctor walks in and he's looking at my vagina. He's eyeing it, chewing some gum. Legit, guys, he was chewing gum. He was chewing gum and he was just looking at my vagina. And then he goes, are you sure she's 10 centimeters? And they're like, yes, we checked. So then he goes, did her water break? And I'm like, when he said that, I was like, oh crap. In my head, I was like, did my water break? Anyways, my water did not break this whole time, guys. So my doctor had to go in with this little pokey thing, poked my hole, poked my bag sack, and broke my water for me. So it felt weird. Like, it legit felt like a gush of water just coming out. Like, you're gonna experience yourself. I have no description like how it feels or how it's just, you're just gonna have to experience it on your own, guys. He breaks my water and I probably did like 4 pushes, guys. And my son was born. So he was born December 27th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And he came out and he came out and he was not crying. So that was a second scary thing. So he was not crying. I was freaking out. I was like, why is he not crying? I was like, is he okay? The nurses said that he was okay, that he was breathing. And then they go, he's underweight. Mind you, I was 38 weeks pregnant when I went into labor. So they're questioning me. Their doctor is questioning, like, the nurse. Like, why is he so underweight? Like, what's going on? So he weighed 4 pounds, 10 ounces. And then he goes, the nurse also says that he's not throwing his own heat off. that his blood sugar's low. So they wrap him up and then they give him to me, and then they say, you can't keep him. We have to go put him in the NICU. And I'm freaking out. I'm starting to cry. So they take him away. They take him away. The doctors clean me. They sew me up. I had 2 lacerations and they had to sew me up. So it wasn't that bad that, you know, I felt like it was my fault, but my doctor informed me that it really wasn't my fault, that it was the clinic's fault because they did not keep up with my blood pressure, and that we could have resolved this. We could have like stopped this from like affecting the baby, and which it did. So he ended up not having to stay in the NICU. He ended up coming home with us 2 days later because he kept his food down. He ended up throwing off his own body, and they got his blood sugar to come up. So that was a good part. So that is my labor and delivery story, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you give this video a thumbs up. I am sorry that I did this video in my bed, but I'm lazy. I just want to be in bed with my baby. So anyways, is this your first time watching this? If this is your first time watching my channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up and put your notification on so you can get a notify when I upload a video, guys. I'm going to do like a 0.5 second video of my baby being born. It's just like a little clip and a picture, the first picture that I took with him. So you can go ahead and watch that if you want. But anyways, I'll let you go. Bye, guys.